Somebody told me at my daughter's funeral to just trust God before the casseroles were even gone. And I've been thinking about that ever since because I don't think God actually works that way. And I can prove it. There is a woman in the Bible who lost her children and she refused to be comforted, and God didn't stop her. I need you to sit with that for a second. We live in a world and honestly, sometimes a church that is really uncomfortable with grief that takes too long. And so we get the casseroles, we get the cards, we get the well meaning, God has a plan, and the she's in a better place, and my personal favorite, at least. Mm. And underneath all of it is this quiet message. It's time to feel better now. And if you're a lost mom, you know exactly what I'm talking about because you felt the clock start ticking the minute you walked out of that hospital. So I want to show you something in the Bible that I think a lot of people have read right past it. It's Jeremiah 31:15. A voice is heard in Ramah, mourning and great weeping, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted. Now, here's what I want you to notice. God doesn't rebuke her. He doesn't say, Rachel, pull it together. He doesn't say, Rachel, you need to trust the process. He doesn't say, at least. He quotes her grief. He names it, he honors it. And then in verse 16, he speaks tenderly to her. The grief comes first, the comfort comes second. That is the sequence God chose. And if it was good enough for Rachel, it's good enough for you. Here's what that means for you practically. Your tears are not a faith problem. Your grief is not a sign that you don't believe in the resurrection. Your refusal to be okay is not a spiritual failure. Rachel refused to be comforted, and God used her story twice, once in Jeremiah, once in Matthew, when Jesus himself was born into a world of child loss. God didn't skip over her grief to get to the good part. He didn't either. Have you ever felt like you were refusing comfort? I think about this and I remember a time, it was pretty new in my, early grief days because I didn't know how I was supposed to act. I didn't know what I was supposed to wear. I didn't know if I shouldn't wear makeup anymore or do my hair or get ready or accept someone's invitation to, hey, can I bring you some coffee and we can just sit and you can tell me all of the things that you want to tell me, and or even just a text message checking up on you. Have you ignored it? Because I have. I talk a lot about how people avoid us after we lose our children, but what about us avoiding people? Like, do we think that we're unworthy of being comforted by other humans? Do we feel like we're being punished? Like we should feel guilty? Like we don't deserve a friendship? We don't deserve the love and comfort? I spent a long time thinking I had to perform a certain kind of grief, the kind that looked like peace, the kind that made other people comfortable, right? And I want to tell you from one lost mom to another, this is not what God is asking of you. He is not standing over you with a timer. He is sitting with you in it. And if nobody in your life has said this to you yet, let me be the first. You don't have to be okay yet. God never told Rachel to stop crying. and he won't tell you either. Okay, quick pause, because I need to tell you something. If you're listening to this podcast thinking, wow, she just said the thing I've been feeling but didn't have words for, then you need to know this. I wrote a book. It's called Joy Does Return, and it's for the mom who's been through loss, whose faith cracked, and who wonders if joy is ever coming back, without guilt, without pretending, and without tying it up in a neat little bow. And here's the best part. You don't have to buy it blindly. You can read the entire first chapter for free before you decide. The link is in the show notes below. So if you want to see if this book feels like a hug, a deep breath, or a me too moment, go read the first chapter. And if it resonates, then grab your copy. Okay, back to the episode. So in verse 16 and 17, it says, "This is what the Lord says. Restrain your voice from weeping and your eyes from tears, for your work will be rewarded, declares the Lord. They will return from the land of the enemy. So there is hope for your descendants, declares the Lord. Your children will return to their own land." God is speaking directly back to Rachel after she weeps. And for lost moms, the gut punch is this: the land of the enemy is death itself. And God is promising her the children aren't gone forever. They're coming home. It's a resurrection promise tucked inside a grief passage. God doesn't say stop crying because it doesn't matter. He says stop crying because they're not lost to you permanently. That's a very different comfort than what most people offer a grieving mother. So when we're talking about Rachel refusing to be comforted over her children dying, here's what I expected God to say next. I expected something like, Rachel, pull it together, have a little faith. They're with me now. That's what we say, right? That's the script. But that is not what God says. God says, and I'm paraphrasing Jeremiah 31:16, restrain your voice from weeping and your eyes from tears. There is hope for your future. He speaks tenderly to her after she weeps, not instead of it. Did you catch that? A sequence matters. God didn't rush past her grief to get to the comfort. He let the grief come first. He sat in it with her, and then he spoke. I spent years thinking that if I was still crying, still wrecked on the hard days, it meant something was wrong with my faith. Like grief and faith were on opposite ends of a scale, and every tear was pulling me further from God. But Rachel was weeping and refusing comfort, and God didn't rebuke her. He didn't say her grief was a problem. He moved toward her in it. Your tears are not evidence of weak faith. They're evidence of real love. And God, the same God who watched Rachel weep for her children, he sees yours too. This verse, Rachel weeping for her children, it shows up again in the New Testament. Matthew 2:18. King Herod has just ordered the murder of every baby boy under 2 years old in Bethlehem. He's trying to kill Jesus, and babies die. And Matthew quotes Jeremiah, Rachel weeping for her children, refusing to be comforted. This verse about child loss is quoted in the story of Christmas. The birth of Jesus and the death of children are in the same chapter. I don't think that's an accident. I think God is saying, I know what this costs. I know what it is to have a mother weep for her child. This is not outside of my story. You are not outside of my story. Your grief is not a footnote. It's woven into the very narrative of redemption. And if you've been told by well-meaning people with green bean casseroles that your tears mean you're not trusting God, they were wrong. Rachel didn't trust less because she wept. She is in the Bible because she wept. and God called her by name. So, if you're in a season right now where the grief feels too heavy and someone has made you feel like you should be further along by now, I want you to come back to this verse, Jeremiah 31:15. A mother weeping for her children, refusing to be comforted, and a God who didn't tell her to stop. He's not telling you to stop either. This one was short and sweet, but I really would love to hear what you think. So give me a follow, leave me a comment, and maybe we can continue this conversation. If this hit you, share it with a lost mom who needs to hear it today. And if you want to go deeper on this, my book, Joy Does Return, is all about this. The in between, the Saturday, the season when God feels silent, but He is absolutely not absent. The link for my book is below in the show notes, and I'll see you next time.